this gentleman right here is the author of this book. It's called Listen Liberal. And if you read this book, it will make you a radical. How about my closing question for you? How about this? And I really appreciate you taking time. I really appreciate when smarty pants guys like you come talk to a nightclub comedian. It's really nice. But that's how bad journalism has gotten in America. I'm now considered a truth teller journalist, and I'm just a jagoff comedian who tells dick jokes to fucking drunks. But it's better than what they're getting at CNN and MSNBC right now, because those places are garbage dumpster fires of quote unquote journalism. They're just mouthpieces for the establishment, and they're now really lowered themselves to repeating CIA propaganda as fact, which is disgusting. But my closing question to you is, I was out at a rally last night for affordable health care. It was on Hollywood Boulevard. Both sides of the street were lined with people 4 and 5, 6 deep, screaming about the Affordable Care Act. And I would go up to them and I would say, "What got you out?" Or they go, "Well, Trump, Trump, Trump." And I don't know if you saw, but last week, Bernie Sanders and Senator Klobuchar introduced a bill to make drugs imported from Canada available to Americans, because they passed a law to make that illegal. And the reason that's important is because a lot of poor people in America can't afford their medication and literally die from it. A lot of them take half their medication. A lot of them don't take their medication. And if we could import the medicine from Canada, we could get it at half price, sometimes a tenth of the price, right? For important stuff like EpiPens and things like that. Yeah. So what happened was, they said that Bernie Sanders was a pie-in-the-sky fairy duster who didn't know how to get things done, except he introduced a bill to make drugs actually cheaper in America, and he convinced people like Ted Cruz to go along with them, and John McCain and Rand Paul. Guess who he couldn't get to go along with them? It wasn't the Republicans that stood in his way. It was the corporate Democrats like Cory Booker who stood in his way. And that, to me, is the bigger problem. And people are saying I'm being divisive by hammering Cory Booker for doing that. Cory Booker, I don't know if you know him, he's a camera pig and a corporate goon who likes to give lip service to people and quote Martin Luther King, and then he literally passes laws that make sure poor people will die. So what do you say to that example? To me, now people are waking up. When I would talk to the people on the street, they were all aware that Cory Booker did that. I guarantee you, if Hillary Clinton was president, that those people would not know Cory Booker and those corporate Democrats did that. That's why Cory Booker's backpedaling right now like an Olympic backstroker, and because people are now awake because of Donald Trump. Do you agree with my theory that now people are finally waking up to the horrible things our government has been doing all along?
Some of them, yeah. The what you just mentioned about the price of pharmaceuticals, this is hugely important, and this is in Listen Liberal. That was one of the things that they negotiated away in the negotiations over Obamacare, was importing drugs from Canada. I've always thought that it was ironic that we have to piggyback on somebody else's welfare state, a country that has a welfare state that actually functions, right? Because we can't summon the nerve to do it ourselves. But it's not just Obamacare. Obama. Oh my God! It's just like they won't leave me alone. I don't know what's going on here. Can you hear that?
Is that Rachel Maddow?
In the TPP, one of the things in the TPP was to protect drug companies' patents and make the rest of the world pay, full price for all of it. The Democratic Party was so deeply in bed with big pharma, and maybe this will wake them. Maybe this will shake them out of that particular slumber. I would love to see that happen. I mean, you could just as easily write a trade deal. I mean, I could do it, right? I could get the experts here in DC and they could write it in about half an hour, a trade deal that would make drugs like 1/10 the price they are in this country. It would mean no more guaranteed profits for Pfizer or something like that, but you could do it. It would be good for working class people. It'd be really good for them. And it would make Barack Obama a hero forever if he did something like that. It's just like, it is. What a disaster this whole thing has been, and now we're all defending it in hindsight. And
you're a historian. Is there any other time in America history that kind of correlates to right now? I always point people to the Gilded Age, because that's the last time that we had some concentrated power and income inequality, and it took a Republican progressive to help us. Would you say that this is analogous or no?
Not necessarily that. Well, look, that's analogous in the broad, that this just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. Everything you just described, yes, it is this. By the way, the first book I ever published came out in 1997, and the subtitle of it was about, let me see if I got it. Yeah. Commodify Your Dissent. The Business of Culture in the New Gilded Age.
Catchy
the New
title.
Gilded Age. 1997 is when we wrote. That was what that was all about then. It was like we're repeating the period after the Civil War. What we've never had is this kind of demagogue in the Oval Office. That's something new. It's like if Huey Long had won. Although Huey Long, by comparison to Donald Trump, Huey Long is like an enlightened, statesman compared to Donald Trump. But we're in a unique situation where the kind of person that, and we've also never had a business people in charge of everything. The Republicans have proposed this for decades. Back in the 20s, they kept trying. In the 40s, they kept trying. But now they've finally done it. And I mean, we're going to get to test all their theories about how business people can run the state better than professional politicians. I'm very afraid for what's going to happen to this country in the next couple of years. But you're exactly right. If it I hope it wakes us up. But look, you say you think people are waking up, but at the same time, you also think they're putting themselves in such a deep slumber. They're using the emergency of Trump to circle the wagons around a philosophy that needs to be tossed overboard. They need to recognize that that the Democrats have screwed up, and they need to start over again. And I don't see any indication that's happening. That's a fight that they just simply have to lose, and that our side has to win, and that's what has to happen.
And that's the fight I'm trying to fight every day at the Jimmy Dore Show and on the Young Turks and on KPFK Radio and Pacifica Radio. That's the fight that I'm making, and I'm being ostracized, called names, and called a Trump supporter and called divisive for doing that. And that's exactly because I know it has to be done. And I tell people I can walk and chew gum at the same time. I can oppose Trump and I can rid our party of these neoliberal corporatists. And if we don't do it, we're going to lose to Trump again and another Trump later, which is going to be even worse than Trump.
That's right.
So,
I mean, well, Trump has shown the way. I mean, every Republican to come down the pike now is going to follow that path.
Yes.
There's no like the Republicans aren't just going to turn back to be nice,
And the Democrats have to fight it with something. They fought Trump with nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Her slogan wasn't "I'm with you." The slogan was "I'm with me." I'm with her. What the F? No, you're supposed to be with us, you stupid
America's
jagoff.
already great. There's nothing wrong here. Everything's awesome.